300,000 people died in one battle. And the man who ordered it watched every corpse. That night, Emperor Ashoka made a decision that would destroy the most efficient surveillance state the ancient world had ever known. 70 years before that massacre, a young man named Chandragupta stood in the shadows of Pataliputra's streets, watching everything. He had nothing. No army. No gold. No royal blood. But he had a gift that would build an empire. He could see what others missed. He noticed which merchants met in secret. Which guards looked away for bribes. Which nobles whispered against their king. And he remembered every single detail. The Nanda dynasty ruled India with an iron fist, crushing anyone who challenged them. They never noticed the young man watching from the shadows. That was their first mistake. Because Chandragupta wasn't just observing. He was learning how to build something far more terrifying than any army. What made this surveillance network so deadly that it controlled 50 million people across an entire continent? Chandragupta had a teacher. His name was Kautilya, though history remembers him as Chanakya. And this man wrote the most ruthless political manual ever created, the Arthashastra. If you're learning something new, that like button helps more than you know. This ancient text detailed exactly how to build a surveillance state. Spies disguised as fortune tellers who extracted secrets from the superstitious. Agents posing as wandering monks with access to every village. Courtesans trained to seduce information from nobles. Merchants who reported every transaction across trade routes. Even children recruited to eavesdrop on their own families. The Arthashastra described 18 categories of spies, each with specific roles. Some gathered intelligence. Others spread propaganda. And a select few carried out assassinations. Nobody was beyond suspicion. Nobody was beyond reach. But here's what made this system truly terrifying. But let's look at this from a different angle. Every spy was being watched by another spy. Trust no one. That was the core philosophy. Chanakya designed a system where agents monitored each other constantly. 3 separate intelligence networks reported to the emperor, each unaware of the other's identities. If one network became compromised, 2 remained. If an agent turned traitor, they'd be exposed by watchers they never knew existed. The paranoia was built into the architecture. By 321 BCE, Chandragupta launched his revolution. The Nanda king never saw it coming. His own generals had been feeding information to Chandragupta for years. His treasury guards had been bribed. His food tasters had been replaced. When Chandragupta's forces struck, the Nanda dynasty crumbled overnight. And now this young man controlled everything from the Himalayas to the southern tip of India. Think about that for a second. 50 million people lived under constant surveillance. And the system worked with terrifying efficiency. Crime rates plummeted. Rebellions were crushed before they began. Foreign spies were identified and eliminated within days of crossing the border. The Greek ambassador Megasthenes visited the Mauryan court and reported with amazement that theft was virtually unknown. Citizens left their doors unlocked. But at what cost? Every conversation could be reported. Every friendship was suspect. Every family member might be an informant. The Mauryan population lived in a state of perpetual self-censorship. They didn't just avoid criminal activity. They avoided anything that might look suspicious. The surveillance had become so complete that people policed themselves. And Chandragupta? He slept in a different room every night, rotated his food tasters daily, and trusted absolutely no one. But that's not even the darkest part. If you want to see how this ends, make sure you're subscribed. After Chandragupta's death, his son Bindusara expanded the empire further. And when Bindusara died, something unprecedented happened. A prince named Ashoka seized the throne. Legend says he killed 99 of his brothers to claim it. Whether that number is exaggerated or not, Ashoka earned a terrifying title, Chandrashoka. Ashoka the Fierce. He used the spy network to eliminate every rival. He built a personal torture chamber called the Ashoka's Hell. Prisoners who entered never emerged. For 8 years, Ashoka ruled with absolute brutality. The surveillance state had created the perfect tyrant. And then came Kalinga. Everything I've told you so far was just the setup. What happened in Kalinga changed human history forever. Drop your prediction in the comments. Did you see this coming? 261 BCE. Ashoka's army marched into Kalinga with 200,000 soldiers. The Kalingans refused to surrender. What followed was the bloodiest single battle in ancient Indian history. 100,000 Kalingan soldiers died. 150,000 civilians were captured as slaves. Countless more died of disease and famine in the aftermath. And Ashoka walked among the corpses. He saw mothers clutching dead children. He saw rivers running red with blood. He heard the screams of the dying echoing across empty villages. Something inside the emperor shattered. That night, Ashoka could not sleep. He wandered the battlefield until dawn, stepping over bodies, the smell of death filling his lungs. And by sunrise, the most ruthless emperor in Indian history made an impossible decision. Ashoka converted to Buddhism. And he didn't just adopt a new faith privately. He fundamentally transformed the empire. The torture chambers were closed. The spy network that had controlled 50 million people for 3 generations was systematically dismantled. Informants were reassigned or released. The culture of surveillance that Chandragupta had built was replaced with something never seen before, state-sponsored compassion. Ashoka carved his new philosophy into stone pillars across the empire. Religious tolerance. Protection of animals. Care for the sick and elderly. He sent Buddhist missionaries as far as Greece and Egypt. The lion capital he erected still appears on India's national emblem today. But here's what nobody expected. By removing the surveillance apparatus, Ashoka unknowingly planted the seeds of the empire's destruction. Within 50 years of Ashoka's death, the Mauryan Empire collapsed completely. Without the spy network detecting conspiracies, generals staged coups. Without informants reporting dissent, provinces declared independence. Without the invisible watchers, the empire that had controlled a continent fragmented into warring kingdoms. The last Mauryan emperor was assassinated by his own general in 185 BCE. Chandragupta's perfect surveillance state lasted barely a century after its creator's death.